Beyond 3D.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote for it.
Good evening, one and all. Welcome to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. Matt here with you, and so is Clint. Clint, how are you this week?
Fantastic, thanks, Matt.
Oh, excellent.
Amazing change in weather.
Yeah.
A change in yourself. I'm really happy this week. It's been a great week.
Oh, good. What did you think about De Niro?
Oh, how cool was that?
I thought it was fantastic.
How cool was that?
You asked the man his opinion?
Yep.
You get his opinion. I thought that is really excellent, and everybody knows what's going on in the United States around the elections and all the negatives that are being thrown. So
I think Trump tweeted a response after that, and it was something like, "I'll be at Trump Towers waiting for you."
I'll put my money on De Niro in that fight.
Oh, absolutely.
I won't even think twice about it. But guys, hopefully you've had a great week as well. We are heading into springtime and then ultimately into summertime here down in Australia. So the weather's starting to look really nice, for Melbourne at least. And all is well in the Mornington Peninsula as well. So hopefully everyone's doing very well out there in and around Australia and in the Southern Hemisphere and in the Northern one for that matter.
I got my motorbike license last week.
Oh boy.
I have zero interest in buying a bike.
But you had to have it.
I had to have it.
Yeah.
Just one of those things I was missing off my extensive driving credentials.
Oh, yes.
But BMW released an amazing bike this week, didn't they? It's a concept bike.
Yes, it is.
The Motorrad Vision Next 100. Mm-hmm. If anybody hasn't seen it, go and check it out. It looks like something from Tron.
Yes, it does. It does.
And it's tipless. You can't knock it over. You can stand on it while it's riding, like a surfboard. It will not fall over. But it's got these excellent visual heads-up display glasses, like the Google glasses that you need to wear, and it shows you the terrain that's in front of you and the conditions and the future of motorsport, Matt.
No, not bad at all. Quite frankly, I think I said it to you a long time ago. I was cured of riding motorcycles in India. When buses aim at you on purpose and the driver goes away laughing, it's time to give that up and do something else, as in get in a Jeep or a car or something like that where you have a little more stuff around you.
A tank.
That too. That'd help.
A tank in India. You'd be pretty safe, wouldn't you?
You would think. You would think. But, that was really excellent. We know what's going on politically. Everybody's hearing about it. There is a lot of negativity out there around that political election in the United States, which is a shame. And what happens is, I think this is a very important point. I wanted to bring this up around this. WikiLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
Julian Assange, who the Australian government would not even help out and let back into the country in some way, shape, or form. What's going on in the media right now?
We're too in bed with America.
Yeah,
to do that for him.
But here's the thing about WikiLeaks, because what I'm hearing is the fact that Mr. Trump is having a problem with all of the women right now. And that's his own doing. But everything on WikiLeaks is coming out about the Clinton Foundation and all of that kind of stuff. Correct me, Clint, if I'm wrong. Is hacking illegal?
I don't... look, in our legal system, it is illegal, morally, depending on... And look, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you want to hack and you're doing it from the perspective of Robin Hood, so if you're looking for information to free people, I don't consider that illegal.
Okay.
What's the saying? When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty.
Okay. So then I'll have to look at it this way. You have... What was the name? Do you remember the name of the original hacker that got the information to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks? Was it Gropo or...
We talked about them halfway through the start of the year. I think it was Guccifer.
Okay, fair enough. If a Russian mob hacks in to the Democratic Party's computers, steals information, emails, what have you. It could be they have stolen bank account details or credit card details. If that information is then given to WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks then, over a period of days, months, what have you, releases all of these emails, I am of the opinion that that is illegal, that there has been some kind of criminal activity done here.
That would be looked upon as being a criminal act because it's one nation hacking into another nation.
Right. Now, here's the thing. What I'm hearing from all the different political aspects of this, the different sides, especially the Republican side, they are willing and they're waiting on every other day basis now to get this information about these WikiLeaks emails and things like that. They happily talk about them on air. It's all about John Podesta and everything going around in the Clinton campaign. And they act like it's just a natural thing. And now they're trying to say what you just said, that WikiLeaks is the Robin Hood, so to speak, of cyberspace, of the cyber world, and what they're doing is perfectly justified. It's not perfectly justified. If I were to walk up to somebody, a woman, let's say, and steal her personal diary and hand it to somebody else and say to them, okay, read a page of this diary every day for the next few months, is there something wrong with that? I think there is. First of all, you took somebody's private property and you're using it for your own reasons. So I'm amazed that every time something happens around Donald Trump and his improprieties, let's say, and they bring out one of these emails and saying, why aren't you talking about the emails? Maybe they're not talking about the emails in the mainstream media because that hacked information is illegal. The fact of the matter is, and here's the fact, the reason Julian Assange is held up in the Ecuadorian embassy, rape allegations in Sweden aside.
False.
Yes, I agree with you.
False.
But the fact of the matter is, the reason he is there is because what he has released, he's stolen information, he's gotten into government computers and he's stolen information, hacked information is out there. Other Russian agencies have done the same thing, and the United States will prosecute him for that.
I'll say it again. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. So let's not compare apples with oranges. So what Julian Assange did is not the same as what Russia's doing. That's my perspective. So think of Russia hacking America. That's cyber war.
Yes, it is.
That's what World War III is. That's the start of World War III.
Yes.
It's not necessarily nuclear weapons. You can shut an entire continent down just by hacking its infrastructure.
Right.
But from my perspective, what Julian Assange has done, again, it's when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. So he has found injustice, which is being passed off as law, and what he's done is he has resisted and shared that information.
I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with it.
I'm not saying, look, it's not legal what he did, but neither is what they're doing. What they're doing is highly illegal. So what he has done, everything that Julian Assange has dug up so far, and there's still thousands of documents that he hasn't shared about lots of different things. But so far what he's presented, it's a lot of it's clandestine stuff that America's doing that's off the books and illegal. If it's off the books and illegal, how can they prosecute him for releasing information that's not conducive with the law of the land?
They can't.
They can't. Can't or can't?
They can't.
They can't.
They can't. I can agree with that, and that's actually Stephen Greer's point when it comes to what's going on in these clandestine programs.
Yes.
They're illegal, therefore you cannot be held to any kind of confidentiality standstill agreements because they're illegal. Okay, factually, I want to know, I guess from Julian Assange and what's going on with the whole WikiLeaks thing is it's one-sided. And I think it's one-sided on purpose. Because Well, maybe they only hacked the DNC. They didn't hack the RNC. But the fact of the matter is a lot of the illegal things or so-called problems that they have happen because of the Republicans as well. So therefore, I'm waiting to see where that information is and why it hasn't come out yet. They are saying that the mainstream media has an agenda and they're on the side of Hillary Clinton. I'm saying WikiLeaks has an agenda and they're on the side of Donald Trump.
Let's have a break. I'm going to blow your mind with something I thought about just the other day.
Cool.
Beyond 3D. Welcome back to this edition, Matt, of Beyond 3D tonight. And guess what?
What's up?
Tonight is episode 50.
Ooh. 50 of them.
50 of them in the can.
Nice.
Not that anybody can access them on the net yet, because somebody's been a little bit too lax.
No, that'll get taken care of.
But yeah, tonight's our 50th show.
Excellent.
That's stretched over 2 seasons too. So it's a combination of last year and this year.
Excellent. Well,
30,000 emails.
yes.
Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
John Podesta.
Yes.
Do you suspect, and this is just me,
Yeah.
this is just me thinking outside of the box.
Yes.
Let's spitball this.
Okay.
What if those 30,000 emails had something to do with disclosure?
Interesting.
Now, Podesta has had a lot to do lately with Tom DeLonge from Blink-182.
Okay, yep,
He's
yep,
been very vocal about the secret space program
Yes.
and interdimensional entities and all that type of stuff. He's taken an active interest in this area of conversation.
Yes.
What if... Now, we've seen Hillary talk about, I'm going to get to the bottom of disclosure if I'm become Madam President.
It never happened, but anyway.
What if those 30,000 emails that she deleted that had to do with Podesta was along the lines of all information to do with disclosure, and the reason she can't say what those 30,000 emails were is because it's part of...
That would be very interesting.
Nobody's brought that up. Nobody's even said that.
Well, Donald Trump is too stupid to bring something like that up, so don't even worry about it there. So are the people working with him. But that's a very interesting theory. Podesta is known for wanting to reveal what was going on. Bill Clinton wanted to know what was going on, along with Jimmy Carter and a few other presidents, including Ronald Reagan.
She can't come out and say... Because Trump made fun of her and saying, oh, those 30,000 emails, Hillary, were they about yoga? He said that during the week, and he made light of it. But, you know, if she's standing there in that debate, that second debate the other day, and he brought that up, imagine her knowing what those 30,000 emails were about, and she's standing there wearing the accusations and the abuse and the shame and being pointed out that you've broken the chain of command. You were in, what was it? She got indicted, was it first, or...
There was a subpoena.
A subpoena, thank you.
Yeah.
She was subpoenaed, and then she went and deleted the 30,000 emails.
Right.
Do you imagine if those 30,000 emails had a lot of information about disclosure, but she had to get rid of them before she was subpoenaed because disclosure would come out in the court of law?
Here's the thing with a subpoena. A member of Congress issues a subpoena for your server and everything and all the information contained on it. They issue a subpoena to you on a Tuesday. Wednesday, you start, what do they call it? Bleaching.
Yes.
The server and everything like that. Here is the thing with subpoenas. A subpoena must be served. If, let's say, they're going to serve a subpoena at your house on Tuesday at 12 noon. If you are not home, the subpoena was issued, but you were not served. So... Therefore, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So therefore she can go out afterwards and do what she's got to do because she doesn't actually have it?
She doesn't have it. It has not been served. Now, it has been issued, and this is the point. So, and I know a lot about this because I used to work with the Security and Exchange Commission in Washington, D.C. And I can tell you factually, subpoenas have been issued. If you are not at home to receive it, if you do not get it, they cannot hold you to it, nor can they say that you violated any rules, regulations, or laws. It has to be served. Now, what does happen covertly, a lot of times people find out about those subpoenas about to be served on you, and what you literally do is you go out shopping for a few hours.
Okay.
And then you come back, and if they can't leave it at your doorstep.
It's like when the sheriff used to come looking for me.
So, yeah, there you go. So you can't just leave it at the doorstep because it has to physically be served upon the person. So if the person is not there, and then the next day they go and just, for the heck, I got to clean up my server, and they do it, you cannot say a subpoena was issued on a Tuesday, and after the subpoena was issued, you did this. It wasn't issued. The question they need to ask is, did she receive it? Or did somebody who is able to sign off on it for her receive it? And they have not asked that question. And I think they haven't asked that question because she wasn't around to receive the daggone
Why
thing.
is it that you and I can join these dots up quite clearly ourselves, but mainstream media doesn't?
Mainstream media is a bunch of hacks, quite frankly, and I'm listening to what they're saying about things, and I finally was able to say something decent about somebody on CNN who happens to be a CIA agent.
Yes,
and that was Anderson Cooper.
And you have quite a colourful relationship with him, don't you?
Oh my God, that man. Anyway, he was.
Good evening, Anderson, if you're listening.
Yeah, Donald Trump's spokesperson, I forget her name, Kellyanne Conway, that was her name, was talking about the fact that they brought up these women in front of about Bill Clinton's accusers and everything like that. And she brought up the fact of, wait a minute, Bill Clinton's, it's true what these women are saying. He paid this woman $850,000 to settle a suit. And then she was talking about, well, I've never had to pay anybody $850,000 without assuming guilt and anything. And Anderson Cooper just went to her and he said, wait a minute. There are over 4,000 lawsuits against Donald Trump, your candidate, right now. He settled racial bias discrimination cases in New York in the 70s and the 80s without admitting any guilt. Are you saying there is some guilt there? And all of a sudden, the conversation changed because he caught him out. They always bring up those numbers. They always talk about these things. But the fact of the matter is, you settle these cases and admit or deny, and you admit nothing, you deny nothing, and the reason you settle them is because I'd rather pay $850,000 now than $8.5 million after the lawyers get through with it 3 years from now.
And all the bad publicity that goes with it.
Exactly. So it's very convenient.
I just, I thought that was a really interesting point to bring out. Nobody stopped and thought or asked the question of what could the content be on those 30,000 emails.
They're now asking about the president's emails, and they're saying, how is it possible that President Obama and the Secretary of State did not change any emails? And if that is the case and they did change emails, can somebody please explain to us why none of them have come out in these WikiLeaks leaks? And I can explain that quite frankly.
Go for it.
Executive privilege, number one. Number two, if it is confidential between the president and the Secretary of State, and they do send emails under executive privilege, you have what do they call? You redact, and everything would be out, blackened out, and they would basically be able to see nothing anyway. So here is the whole thing. Once again, which is why it's, industrial espionage of a sort. Yeah. What you have is a situation where if something is confidential and does not belong in the public domain, but somebody has hacked into a server and releases that unredacted information, you have a big security problem, yes. But there is a fiduciary duty from these people.
Say that again.
Fiduciary duty of these people to not release that classified information. But they have. So
Assange.
in a sense,
So Assange.
So that is the law that he is breaking.
Okay.
By releasing those emails that they have not been able to redact or go over and take out all the good juicy bits.
But what if those emails were detrimental to the entire human race? Again.
But none of those have come out yet. At least they haven't released them.
No.
And the fact of the matter is, I think the 30,000 emails is a relatively small number.
I don't know about you, but I've got about 3,000 emails in my inbox.
Exactly. This is the thing.
And do you know how long that takes to delete? And she was, allegedly deleted 30,000 in the blink of an eye?
But the fact of the matter is here, everybody's talking about all this great amount of emails. Go back to the Bush-Cheney administration, who also had an email scandal. But people don't remember. People have short-term memory. And this is what you will find about the Bush-Cheney email situation. I'll see your 30,000 emails, and I'll raise you 22 million emails.
Yeah, nobody's got time for that.
This is the whole point. Why don't they bring it up? Now, if I'm a journalist and I'm on one of these shows, the first time I hear a Republican mention 30,000 emails, I'll say, well, let's go back to the Republican Party and the Bush-Cheney administration and talk about their 22 million emails that went missing.
I just think disclosure might have something highly to do with
And
those 30,000.
being that is the case,
join the dots.
that is why the FBI will not prosecute her.
Yep.
That is why all of her staff received diplomatic and every other kind of immunity and around this whole case. And the fact of the matter is, idiot Trump is playing right into her hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's over with. Now, I can say this. I received information this week.
Please share.
Off the record, so I'm not going to name any names.
Okay.
But suffice it to say...
This is all news to me, so...
Yes, suffice it to say the email that I received, and it wasn't hacked, said basically, and this is from someone high up in the Republican establishment that, like myself, is a Catholic, has basically said, and the way they put it was, don't worry about Trump.
Oh, I've been telling you for years
I know.
that this is a one-horse race. Before she even had candidates, before she even stepped up to the mark and put a hand up.
And this is inside the Republican Party. And what you're seeing now when you watch everything going on, and we get a lot of news in Australia about it, and I'm glad they don't really just go overboard with it, because in the States right now it is insane.
Me too.
But what you are seeing when they show you Donald Trump is he is playing to his, as they call it, his base. These are the people that, as they said, the man could basically take out a 50 cal Mongoose in the middle of New York City and just start mowing people down, and they would still vote for him.
Yep.
So don't even worry about it. Now, I have to say on the other side, Hillary Clinton, quite frankly, is a piece of work.
Oh, look.
And give me a break about it, but I like what you said about the fact that disclosure happens. Now, if you go back over the whole ufology and disclosure, going back to that supposed photograph in 1952 of all of these alien ships flying past the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
You are going to find that a lot of this stuff is compartmentalized. You are going to find that a lot of this stuff will remain compartmentalized. You will find that if you, as a government employee, or as an elected official, or as an appointed official of an elected official, disclose anything from the so-called black projects,
Leavenworth,
you will be in jail if you're lucky, dead otherwise. This is the way they work.
or just end up having some kind of freak suicidal accident that never really happened.
Or you can... What was the guy that ended up in... we'll have to think about this. Being that Vladimir Putin is also playing this game, do you remember what happened to that so-called spy in London?
Yes, let's talk about that after the back of the break.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
Beyond
3. Welcome back, guys, to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. We were discussing, and I was about to get into the Vladimir Putin aspect of everything that is going on here, and I mentioned the fact that someone in London, from what I remember, received a lovely little gift.
Alexander Litvinenko.
Yeah, he was poisoned.
Well, he was a former officer of the Russian Federal Security Service. That's the...
KGB.
Well, the FSB these days, but the old school KGB.
Exactly.
He fled a court of prosecution in Russia and received political asylum in the United Kingdom. And then what happened to him, Matt?
Oh, I'm trying to remember how the story goes, but he was, I don't know, at a meal or something like that from what I remember. And the meal was not very good. We can put I'm going to put up, it's a person in a bed that's sick, but I'll put a picture up of him on the Facebook page. And what you have to remember is he went out and was basically poisoned. He was the victim of polonium-210 radiation syndrome.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, thank you. Into the food, and basically took him out. Took him out quite quickly, actually. Into the hospital, deteriorate, goodbye. These are the kind of things that are going on there. And that was just one of the things that can happen on the Russian side of this. The other thing is, when Putin was running for president, Kasparov was his opponent, but Kasparov during the election ended up in jail. These are the kind of things that are going on, and Donald Trump was known for, oh, Putin's great, he's never done anything to me, I can get behind him and work with him. You got to be careful with all this, with all of the diplomacy and all the foreign relations that are going on out there in any election, including Australia. You got to be very careful.
Current democracy is an illusion.
Yes, it is.
You're given a list of candidates to choose from, but you don't actually go out and search for those candidates yourself.
No.
You're presented with these candidates. your government tells you this is who you can vote for. Mind you, we've pre-selected them for you.
Yes.
And out of that pre-selection, let's look at Hillary and Trump for a start, okay? One is the devil and the other one's Adolf Hitler.
Basically.
Which one do you want to hang with? You know?
Well, we'll see what happens with that, but it's fascinating. But I like going back to the whole disclosure situation. 30,000 emails, if a lot of them talk about not just disclosure, but start mentioning the fact of what armaments and bases are on the moon. They start talking about what's actually going on
It's
Mars.
pulling that thread of disclosure, and all of a sudden you're left with a long, long piece of string that leads you from visitation to secret space fleet.
Yeah. And that cannot be revealed right now because it would really knock out a lot of people in the way they think, not just in the United States, worldwide. I think a lot of people worldwide would accept it. What people have to remember about the United States, it has an isolationist attitude and is extremely puritanical, which is why now, being that Clinton was talking about religion and the Catholic Church being medieval, and the evangelicals, and they needing to have basically an intervention to bring them into this century. They're now saying everybody is up in arms because the United States is 28% Catholic, and that's a very big, voting bloc.
The Irish?
Yeah. Irish, Italians,
Yeah.
a lot of people. Look, we're parents, myself, my parents, my grandparents, everybody's Catholic. You have to understand one thing. I looked at what was written. John Podesta, whose email this was, they said he didn't get involved in it, but the fact of the matter is he is a Catholic himself. When you get into religion and politics, that's why they say there should be a separation between church and state. You have to understand that that goes along with disclosure as well, because the Catholic Church and the Vatican and their telescopes and the Vatican Observatory does a lot of work. The Vatican has come out and said that when ETs, they said but when ETs are there, they would happily baptize them into the faith.
2 trillion galaxies. That's what they've calculated is around us. 2 trillion galaxies.
Look, folks, there are planets out there with human beings just like us on them at all different points of spiritual evolution. Get used to it. That's a fact.
If you can't deal with that,
too bad. Get over it. It's the way of the world. It's the way of this world and the way of others. The other thing that has just come out is they have found about 243 planets, I think this week, and the scientific study being done on them stated that there are some odd things going on between these 243 planets, and that it seems as if they are sending communications between each other. Intelligent communication.
and it wouldn't be radio signals either.
We deal with radio signals a lot down here, but the fact of the matter is communication, we've talked about this before.
Radio
iPhone is
signals are primitive.
Well, let's take a look at this.
2 cans and a string.
If you listen to AM radio right now, anywhere around the peninsula where we are, anywhere in Melbourne, anywhere in Australia, what you are going to find is interference.
Yep.
All over the place.
Yep.
Every time you pass by a telephone tower,
Yep.
you know it's always projecting, emitting, and it totally interferes
Yes.
with those signals.
Yes.
To the point where you can hardly hear AM these days.
Yes.
So come on. You know, it's got to be different. We have got to stop looking at everything through our mechanics, through our machinery, and start recognizing the fact that there are other ways of communicating out there. A lot of people now, especially with the cameras the way they are, they're taking pictures and they see nothing when they take the shot, and then they get back and they take a look at it again, and before you know it, you see all kinds of orbs, all kinds of different shadow and sunlights and things like that. It's just absolutely fantastic what's going on out there.
You took a photo yesterday.
Yeah, we put a photo out. I showed you guys. I showed it to you and I showed it to Steve from Soul to Soul. And that was one of those ones. That was down at Mother's Beach
Yes.
in Mornington.
And do you know when you sent that photo through to me? Those 2 little things down the bottom, spotted them straight away.
That's the whole thing. Now, I didn't see it.
No, you didn't even mean
No.
to catch that
No.
photo.
So that's just the way it goes. You get a stream of light coming down, sunlight hitting the water, and then you see the little orby things at the bottom of it. And you just go, well, who the and you know it wasn't doctored.
No.
You know you didn't Photoshop it.
No.
That's exactly what you took a picture of. So what do you do with that kind of stuff? That's what's out there. We're starting to pick it up. And the reason people are seeing more of these orbs of light and entities like that is because of spiritual evolution, in spite of themselves.
Peter Maxwell Slattery.
Oh, yes. He put out a little bit of
Information
on YouTube recently.
I've got it here.
Oh, beautiful.
I've got it here. No, you can talk about it.
No, I looked at it the other day, and he was talking about, in a sense, disclosure, the Corey Good type space programs that are going on.
He was more or less filling in a couple of blanks about what his experiences are and correlating his information with people in the alternative community who, like Corey Good, who are saying exactly the same things.
And a lot of these guys are now coming out and they're seeing the similarities everywhere. And
I could understand if this person over here said things were black, and this person over here said things were white, and this person over here said things were red and blue and green. No, everybody's saying that everything is gold.
There you go. And so, well, give this a listen, guys, and then we can talk about it when we get back.
Beyond.
3.
D. In this video, what I'm going to talk about is the Elohim. Elohim, plural. Many have heard of them. Back in 2011, I started having experiences with what I called at the time the light blue light beings. In time, I was approached by two of them, because originally it was one being that I was approached by, and it was during the middle of the day. And I've been doing intense meditation at the time, probably, anywhere between 4, 6 to 8 hours a day, sometimes 12. I wasn't working much at the time because my whole life had changed because of my experiences. A lot of craft sightings, orbs, paranormal activity, all that sort of thing. So in time, I believe it was December of 2011, I had a light blue light being appear in my lounge room during the middle of the day, and it was summer, it was hot, and this thing just appeared, and it had a white light emanating from it, but it was blue. In time, I was approached by two of them, and they said, "We are Elohim, it's okay, don't fear." And continuing from that experience and others, I was taken to what I call a crystal cave. It looked like quartz crystal. So if you imagine a cave, there was no entry or exit. The floor was quartz as well, and there was a pulsating orange light within that quartz, what I believe is quartz. And there was 12 of them standing around me. And during other experiences too, this would land on the lounge room, and half of the lounge room would turn into that craft, what I now know is a craft. And they would be in front of me, some of those 12, as they started to manifest into this reality, or bring me into their sort of being in between two worlds. Now, these beings are situated, it's very, not complicated, but I'm just trying to, and I'm doing these videos to try and help educate people about my experiences, because so many ask, but these beings appear in many different places. So what I know, and from the book of Shiji, Shiji is actually a Elohim being as well. So what I know is that some of these beings exist in portals in the Pleiades, Orion and Sirius. And it's not just here in this galaxy sort of quadrant, it goes far out beyond, and it's these portal areas that don't exist where suns are. Those suns are portals, because Shiji's a Elohim type being from a sun, from a star, the star Merope in the Pleiades, but there's a faction of these types of beings that exist in these portals in sort of nothingness space near these sectors of space, Pleiades, Orion and Sirius, and many others. And due to a high level of consciousness, you can access these realms and then surpass through to the geometric light realms and beyond. Shiji is a younger version of the Elohim. She was created by them in service mode, and so her position and job is to be at the star Merope, and she's a gatekeeper of that star. Now, when you go up a little bit to these, I guess maybe densities, so you got 5th, 6th and 7th top of Elohim, and I'm sure beyond that. And this is where it gets complicated. Everyone thinks, you got 5th dimensional this or 6th. It's not so set out. Now, with these light blue light beings, the Elohim, what's funny is in time they showed me them projecting from these baseball size, tennis ball size, light blue orbs, and they could project into these 7-foot tall light beings, humanoid, with features, no private parts and that sort of thing, but they did have features, no hair, but eyes, mouth, they were masculine. And so yeah, in time they showed me that they are that ball type state, orb type state. And it's funny because later on I hear about Corey Good talking about the blue avians and these beings that go from that are orbs, you know, the Sphere Alliance and that. So it's a very similar type of thing. So that's something there to think about as well. Now, a lot of these beings in their crafts, they're actually in their Merkaba, their light body, which I film a lot of that type of stuff. And people have experienced here on the back deck at home. But with the Elohim, they are sort of guardian type beings, and the Anunnaki come into this. They're an offshoot faction, and there's different types of them again. It's not so cut and dry. There's different factions and different densities of these types of beings. The Book of Shiji goes into a lot of this with the Elohim, but I'm just trying to explain this the best that I can. The experiences with them continue today, and there are different types of the Elohim, like I was mentioning before with Shiji. So Shiji's more of a white light being, like almost like a crystal. There's a picture I can put up there, and then you've got different types of colours of these Elohim type beings, and then you've got the rainbow light beings as well, which are again the same type of being, and we can all ascend to this because this is what we are all deep down. A facet of us is these beings as well, and we're an offshoot. This experience is an offshoot of being one of them. And so you've got the bipolar side of this as well, which is that the Archons, those at the highest behind the reptilian agenda, and the AI once was the Elohim, that they are the Archons. And here's sort of a smoky type picture that my partner and I have sort of come up with. They appear as these black misty orbs, black sort of smoke. Not to say all shadow men and everything are of a self-serving agenda, but sort of what you'll notice is a different distortion or sort of smoke sensation with those that are in service mode. So the Elohim are in service mode. They've never changed. They've always been that. If anything, they've sort of changed densities and gone up as they're evolved. Some of them have always stayed the sort of same status, but the Archons originated from once being the Elohim coming into physical reality, because all physical reality is a manifestation through a consciousness that created it. So there's sort of no birthplace, except that birth was in our mind, in our consciousness. And so when the certain Elohim type beings came into this density to experience it, they did self-serving things and wanted to keep a certain frequency here, which is where they created enough artificial intelligence to keep that vibration here, because it created an energy for humans that they could thrive off to stay in this density, and it's sort of like their food source. So there's some behind the scenes, and a lot of these Archons overshadow reptilians. Not to say all reptilians are good or all reptilians are bad, but a lot of these reptilians are being overshadowed or possessed by this force. It's not just happening here, it's happening in other galaxies and other parts of the universe, and what's actually is happening here is affecting other universes at the moment too. So I'll leave it at that at the moment. I hope I've explained it the best that I can. There is a lot of overlapping and back and forth with this, and this again because of the multi-dimensional mind aspect of what we are experiencing. So love, light and bliss, and
beyond 3D.
Welcome back to the 50th edition, 50th episode of Beyond 3D.
Just give us both a little clap. Matt,
You?
really enjoying your company tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Just want to say
Same
thank
here.
you.
Same here. I'm looking at a few things on YouTube as we speak.
Dr. Stephen Greer, who we quite frequently name drop,
Yep.
made contact with ETs for French military.
Yep.
Now, we've mentioned this many, many times before, and if anybody hasn't heard us talk about that, Dr. Stephen Greer is a man very respected throughout the world by the UFO community.
Yes, indeed.
You'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
And he's just made things even more interesting, Matt, with his admittance that he has helped summon the ETs for the French Ministry of Defense.
Yes, I did hear about that. He has a program, what is it called, CE5?
CE5.
Yeah. There's actually an app you can download.
I bought it about 2 years ago.
Yeah. And get out there and start doing meditations and things like that and connecting with those energies. The good thing I like about Stephen Greer is he has, like I do, an Indian religious, spiritual kind of bent to him.
Can I use the word grounding?
Yeah.
I think that's, for him, that's his grounding.
Yeah, but it's more than that in a sense as well. There are a lot of people out there that go back and study the old ancient texts, and in the ancient text you will find a lot of information about what was going on with the so-called gods. Now, those of us in the West think that people that believe in multiple gods are a little backward, but the fact of the matter is, I think they're quite forward-thinking insofar as what's going on out there. And especially in the Indian epics, and I've mentioned this on many occasions, they used to talk about the powers, the cities, and Stephen Greer talks about these cities. There are 8 cities. I'm not going to go into all of them and what they all mean right now, but suffice it to say, supernatural abilities. What we all have to do is recognize the fact that we have our normal 5 senses, but there are heightened senses as well for each one of those that correspond. The lower aspect of it we use here on Earth, the higher aspect of it can be used to travel the universe. These are the things that Dr. Greer talks about. He brings up all kinds of meditative techniques and what you can actually do. And what he is saying is you can put yourself in such a state where you can go beyond space-time, go beyond the speed of light, and you can actually contact other beings out there.
Can we just ditch this whole concept of rocket fuel and needing to get from A to B?
You don't need it.
Rocket fuel is...
Yeah.
Just, there are techniques in which you can free yourself from the mundane, from the contextual body that you're housed in.
Yep.
And go wherever you want.
Yes.
You do this quite frequently, don't you?
I do it a lot. And that's a very important point. I meditated... still meditate, but you're honing it down. You start, and I was doing it, I was frustrated in a sense when I started. So let's be honest, say the mid-80s, I really got into it intensely, and I would do an hour and a half in the morning. I would come home from work in California, and I would do another hour, and then before going to bed at night, I'd do an hour and a half again. So I was meditating about 5 hours a day or thereabouts, sometimes a lot more. And after a while, you have certain experiences. But it's very hard to control those experiences, but you don't need to. It's you do the work and certain things start to happen. That's what it really comes down to. Stephen Greer is saying this, and what he's doing, he's trying to get people to go out on these expeditions, so to speak, and to actually sit there, meditate as a group, and have that group consciousness contact.
And 9 times out of 10, they have a lot of great success in doing that, don't they?
They do. And these are the things that people need to recognize. I mean, we're caught in this so-called mundane world, and there's a lot of stuff that we do have to deal with. But we have to, as a species, start getting to the point where we spend, and I ask this because I used to run meditation classes, I just say to people, 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's all you have to do. Very simple. You should be able to find 5 or 10 minutes where you can just sit and be quiet and give them certain techniques on how to activate certain energy centers in the body, and you do it every day, and after a while it becomes instantaneous. You don't need to meditate for an hour and a half. You can get to that state. That's what it comes down to. It's like anything. Practice something to the point of exhaustion, the body learns it, it knows what to do, and it just automatically does it. That's what it really comes down to. Stephen Greer is trying to get people to recognize this. It's very important to be able to do this. We need to raise the vibration of the planet, so to speak, especially with everything going on right now.
Now, you say that, raising the vibration of the planet, but it's not something that one individual can do. It's about focusing on raising your own vibration. Yes?
Start
with yourself.
With yourself.
And then the more people that work on themselves, naturally what happens is, as a collective...
Mm-hmm. It'll build up. It'll build up. You start with yourself. help one person next to you. That person then starts and they help the person. It's almost like multi-level marketing or something like that. You just keep on spreading it and spreading it.
Boil 1 atom of water, and all of a sudden you have a cup of coffee.
There you go. We need to do this, guys. This is something that I think is very important. What's going on now, and I love looking at this, because we talked about politics tonight. We talked about all the little mundane things going on in the world. What we're trying to bring it back to now is the fact that that is a diversion, and what is actually going on out there. What's really going on. You brought up I think it's a brilliant point, Clint, with the emails. If there's information in there about disclosure, you got to shut it down.
She is the cat's mother.
Yeah.
Hillary cannot say a word.
That's the whole point.
You know, she's even painted herself into a corner. But to protect the integrity of that information, she has to just wear it.
Sometimes that's what has to happen.
And that's why nobody's prosecuting her. That's why FBI's leaving her alone. That's why the CIA have left her alone. Trump can stand up there on the podium and scream and dance and look drunk as much as he wants. It's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. They've made their decision. They know what candidate they're going to choose to lead the world into the future.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And there's a lot going on spiritually. There are a lot of people that are starting to move around the planet and start to meditate in certain areas to help the planet along. And don't forget, and this is the most important, this so-called Earth. And why do they call it Earth? Let me ask that question. Let's ask the 3-year-old question.
No, I asked a question a couple of months ago. Why is it called Gaia? Who named Earth Gaia? Yeah, do you have these answers?
Or Terra.
Or Terra.
Or Bimu. Or all the names that they call it. It basically means what? The ground. For lack of a better term. But why would you call a planet that's 2/3 sea the ground?
I'd never thought of that.
We call these planets Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and what have you. What do other races call them?
Gary.
Basically. Well, SpongeBob would call it. These are the things that are really interesting to me, and I just sit back and you just ponder. Like what we used to do from a scientific standpoint is we would say, okay, our sun is obviously powering up, for lack of a better term, the planets in this solar system. Where does our sun appear in the night sky if you were standing on, let's say Aldebaran or something like that? Or if you were standing on Betelgeuse up there in the Orion, what constellation would our sun appear in the sky?
That's a very good question. And we can only speculate that unless you actually are able to traverse the universe and go there and view it yourself,
so
Matt.
So in other words, what is the perspective of others, not just our perspective? So this is what's going on. I mentioned earlier before that there were, we didn't bring it up this time, but the people are talking about the Nibiru and everything like that, but they basically, I think Secure Team, I put up their latest video, and it actually talks about what I was saying earlier about the fact that the way they say it, alien planets busted communicating. And that is up on our Facebook page. And they basically, the scientists are looking at the fact that they found these over 200 planets, and there is communication between these different points. And they know it, and they say it is not natural. It's not a naturally occurring thing. There's a whole lot going on out there, and I think a lot of the stuff that we deal with here is diversionary. What you need to remember is, that's why I say to people, 5 to 10 minutes a day of stillness, awareness, silence, meditation, activating energy centers in your body so that you can move beyond the morass of what's going on and the dross of what's going on here and really start to see what's truly happening.
I'll tell you something that I've done over the last 12 months, and I've consciously made an effort to do this every single day. I get up for work, I get dressed, and I go outside and I greet the day. And I sit for 5 minutes just being grateful for who I am and where I am. And listening to the start of the day itself, listening to the wind, listening to the birds, feeling the sun. Just doing that in itself is a form of meditation, is it not?
It is.
And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Just that 5 minutes that I do, or that I've been doing for the last 12 months, every day, puts you in the mindset of being open to the world around you. And once you start being open to the world around you, you start seeing more and more.
Yeah.
And look at that experience that I had the other day that I spoke to you about.
Yes. Yeah.
Tonight before we came on air. I've never had an experience like that before. I'm not going to mention it tonight on air.
Right.
But that was amazing. That was an amazing experience. And that I don't believe that would have happened if I hadn't been making the time to greet the day and to find that stillness in myself, which triggers an open consciousness to grow and develop within yourself.
Yep. Yeah. It's there. And the other thing you can
And I've got you to be thankful for that.
No.
Well, I do, because I was totally oblivious to that 12 months ago.
Just become aware. The other thing you can do in the morning, and everybody, you guys can do this, when you get up in the morning, face east, when the sun is at the horizon point and about to rise, if you're up at sunrise, and you have that nice morning orange sun, close your eyes, turn to that direction, open your eyes, and take in that morning sun, the orange sun. You'll get that point of light going into the ajna, in between the eyebrows, and you'll start to see that after image. And just follow that after image as you go around and everything like that. It's a way to start seeing more. It's a way to start opening the third eye and giving and getting your body, your physical body, used to that there's getting your physical body used to the fact that there's more out there, and you're just training yourself. You take it in really good energy, and you just let it go through you. And then when you open your eyes, you'll start to see the colored dot in front of you that's changing the different colors, and it'll go black and start moving around as your eyes move around. But it's training that third eye to open. Do that kind of stuff in the morning as well. Never look into the sun during the daytime. Always remember that as well. But hey, there's a lot of good information out there, and Stephen Greer is trying to help a lot of people.
Beyond
3.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition tonight of Beyond 3D. And tonight is our 50th show, Matt.
5-0.
5-0.
Yep.
NASA promises to find alien civilizations by 2025. The drip feeding of disclosure begins.
NASA promises to find alien civilizations by 2025 because they've already found those civilizations.
You cannot come out. You cannot come out and make a global promise unless you can deliver. They know that they can deliver.
That's right.
So that's a pretty big claim. You wouldn't come out and make that claim unless you already had something in the pipeline to bring forth and share.
You go to the moon, you can go to Mars, you can go to half the moons of Jupiter, you can go to the moons in and around Saturn and Saturn itself, you can go to Neptune. I guarantee you there have been human or some kind of humanoid form of life. Please stop thinking of our so-called 6,000-year history. It's a load of bunk. This planet has been populated for millions upon millions of years. NASA knows it. The governments know it.
I'll read you their little...
Yep, go for it.
We are on the cusp of discovering alien civilizations. NASA's top scientists have said they have very recently predicted that we are just one generation away from finding something in our Milky Way neighborhood which is bustling with environments conducive to life. Let the drip feeding of disclosure begin. The NASA scientists made their comments at a panel discussion Tuesday. The scientists predicted that the first discoveries will definitely come within a decade. Chief scientist Alan Stoffen believes we'll have definitive evidence within 20 to 30 years, as in most cases we have the technology and we're on a path to implementing it, and so I think we're definitely on the road. Alan Stoffen has been asked about UFOs and aliens before, but has always kept his information quiet when asked.
They know this stuff already. Come on.
I don't know what to say. I really don't.
Get real, people. You know they already know it. I mean, look, they told you what happened on Mars millions of years ago. You can see that it was some kind of a nuclear conflagration that happened there. All you have to do is look at the topography of the daggone place. They know exactly what's going on the moon. They know exactly what's going on Venus. Now, here's the thing when it comes to all of those things. Once again, and we're on radio. If we're on 98.7 RWP and you then turn the dial to another station, you can no longer hear us, but you can now pick up the other station and all the stuff that's going on there. Think about that and just extrapolate it out, that little way of thinking of things, and extrapolate that out. In order to be on this earth, in this dimension, at this point in time, you have to have a certain signal. Your body is the antenna. It can pick up that signal. If you change your body chemistry, if you change your brain chemistry, you will be able to pick up signals from other planets and find out that there are civilizations there, and it's as simple as turning the dial. That's what it comes down to.
Dr. Richard Allen Miller mentioned that many times.
That's what it is.
Change your chemistry, change your thoughts, change your receiver.
That's what it comes down to. It's pretty straightforward. Now, for us here, this is a very, very dense universe that we're in, and this where we are here on this earth. It takes a lot. That's why we talk about meditation. That's why we talk about contemplation. That's why we talk about looking at the earth in a different way. Learn how to adjust your eyesight so that you can pick up more of the things that are in the air and in the atmosphere. Our cameras are doing it for us now. Clint, maybe you know this, maybe you don't.
No.
Okay, no.
No, I don't know.
Okay, the cameras that they have now in iPhones, how many pixels?
Okay, so the iPhone 7. So if you're looking at 1334 by 750 pixel resolution, that works out to be 326 pixels per inch.
So when they say a camera has 25 pixel, what does that mean?
Okay, so the internet, for example, when you load an image up on the internet, they're usually 72 dots per inch, or pixels per inch.
Right.
The reason, and if you take let's just say a photo on a magazine cover, they're usually printed out at a resolution that's 300 dots per inch. So for every inch, it's 300 dots of ink across that, which is how you get your clear resolution.
Right.
But you cannot send, or you can. I remember the first time I sent an image over the internet, which was about 20 years ago, it took 3 days. Because I chose a 300 dot per inch image, and the internet's only configured for 72. Usually either 72 or 144, which is double the quality of 72. 144 dots per inch. So a 300 dot per inch file, you usually only have a file for that size for printing. So if the iPhone 7 has a camera that does 326, that's a high quality camera. Don't get the iOS 10 update because I'm ready to throw my phone because of that thing.
Well, what I was going to ask after that, so cameras have gone from, let's say, a 2-pixel camera up to a 10 or a 12-pixel camera.
Yeah.
What is the human eye equivalent?
Really? That's a pretty hardcore question. 324 million pixels. Or 324 megapixels.
Therefore, a heck of a lot better than any camera out there?
Oh, absolutely.
So, question for everybody out there, how do you learn to zoom?
You would... Okay. You would have a different answer to this than I would. I know you've got a different answer to this. Me, based on my experiences, you would need, if you weren't doing it from a meditative point of view, you would need some kind of catalyst that you would need to take into orally, usually into your body, to help fire certain neurons in your brain to see the world differently. So maybe something like DMT, some kind of hallucinogen, psilocybin, so some kind of mushroom-induced state of mind where your certain synapses are firing that are normally lay dormant. Now, those synapses that lay dormant, like I said, you could either take something orally to trigger that, or you could go into some kind of meditative state to trigger that. Is that where you were going?
Yeah, in meditative states, you can actually control it. So it would be like allowing your eye, your physical eye, to act like a zoom lens on a camera. We can be sitting here in the studio, and you can pick up a camera, and you can zoom in just about anywhere out there and just really get a good look at it. Binoculars, telescopes, zooms in. You can see it's that much closer. It makes it that much bigger. We as human beings can do the exact same thing with our brains and the tools that we have in and around the head area.
I don't disbelieve you, but I'd love to know how.
Practice.
Okay.
There's a lot of practice that it has, but this is what meditation can do for you.
Makes perfect.
You can zoom in. You can zoom in and do all of these kinds of things.
And hang on, not just visually. You can zoom in not just visually. There's other ways to zoom in.
Well, if you want to look at all the different five senses, you can, let's take hearing. We, sitting here right now, can hear everything within a 100-kilometer radius.
Look at a dog, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, so compare the range that
Yeah.
a dog can hear, and it can also filter out that range and focus on what it wants to hear.
Right.
Within that range, it can hear my voice and it can hear a whistle 5 miles away.
Exactly. Star Trek, the Borg,
Yes.
that collective consciousness, they constantly hear the voices of the collective.
Yes.
We hear the exact same collective voice.
And I've said-
what we do is
Yep.
filter it.
Yep. We filter it. Or we ignore it.
Yes,
A lot of people do that.
but you can hear everything within a 100-kilometer radius. You can definitely see to the horizon, and you know how far away that is. It's just learning how to hone in, how to zoom. It's very easy to isolate sound. It's not as easy with your vision, but that's the kind of stuff that we need to learn to go forward.
576 megapixels.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of detail, quite a bit of detail. The other thing that was interesting, and this just popped into my head and I have to mention it, we were doing a class and one of our teachers from the Philippines was in, and he was saying, take a look at how far science has come. Yeah, take a look at how far science has come. What can you tell me about something as simple as a rose?
Are you asking me, or was this the question that
This
was
was
posed
the question
to you?
that was posed to us, and we said, well,
They don't
flower.
They don't come in blue.
Certain kind of smell. He says, where does it come from? You have, the universe can create a seed that can be planted in the soil with trace minerals, and you can come up with that. Science cannot mimic that.
Nature can. Science cannot.
Science cannot. You take the top scientist on the planet
Hang on,
and tell
man.
them to make me make me something like a rose. They can't do it.
Man-made science can't do it.
No, man-made science
Natural
cannot.
science can.
Natural science can. So what's more powerful?
Well, obviously natural science, and that's where Dr. Richard Allen Miller has said many, many times that science, and especially physics, is the next level of magic.
Exactly. And look, guys, we got a little waxing and philosophic here at the end, but you have to do this because what's going on now is politically you can see the turmoil that is out there. We need to align ourselves properly so that we can deal with what has to happen. And I've also talked to a few people, and we'll leave it on the positive note. We've talked to people, 2 years of craziness, and then you're going to have free sailing after a bit. So remember that as well. Thanks for listening to us this week for this edition of Beyond 3D. We will return next Saturday with another one.
Hang tough, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.